Hey guys, Toad Jr. here with Bass Squad. I'm doing a little video vlog to tell you some things that I do to help survive winter, especially in the upper Midwest. And one of the things I've done in the past, and everybody does, is map study. You know, this is the time of year where guys are figuring out what they're going to fish, where they're fishing, how far they're traveling, crunching numbers. And I'm not doing a whole lot of circuits this summer, I don't think. I've got a couple possibilities, but one thing I am doing for sure is I'm going to be fishing the BASS College Series. And of course, being in the upper Midwest, I'm fishing the regional on Lake of the Ozarks in the end of March. So one of the things I've been doing to prepare, since I can't fish right now with our 1.5 feet of snow and 2 feet of ice on our lakes, is, of course, map study. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people do it, but there's a difference between just staring at a map and circling an area like, oh, this looks good, right over here, or this creek arm looks intriguing, is going in depth on it. And I mean, you can go in depth, like you can go read articles and email guides and see what they'll say, besides send me $100 and I'll send you 2 waypoints, which I mean, from what I've heard, some college teams do. I never have. One that's hearsay anyways, and 2 of the guys are not going to give you his best spot, so you end up using that information as a crutch. But one thing I like to do is gather as much information as I can and then decipher what's important and what do I want to know going into this thing. And one thing that really helps to me is a nice, neat presentation. I'm in college, so I've put together a bunch of projects, but of course if I put this much effort into any school project, I'd probably be going to a lot better school, but I like to bass fish too much and the bass club has ruined my life. So this is what I do instead of homework. So I put together just something like this. I mean, of course, Bass Squad just looks cool, so I threw it down there. But, I make it really neat inside, too. I did a bunch of different stuff. Of course, my lake maps are in there. But what that helps you do is helps you organize your thoughts and sit down, highlight. It's a lot like reading a textbook for a class, honestly, except a lot more interesting, and I'm a lot more motivated to do it. But, you can go online and read the articles, but I feel like when you print them out and put them in a neat, organized fashion, you're going to, 1, get a lot more out of it. 2, you can reference back to it a lot easier, because, we've all made bookmark tabs on Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, whatever you use, and you bookmark them and you never go back. And you tend to forget some stuff that you read. A lot of the articles, of course, there's a ton of articles on Lake of the Ozarks pre-spawn. It's a huge tournament hub that time of year. BFLs, Everstart, or Rayovac, whatever you want to call it now. College goes there every year. And of course, how many club tournaments probably go out of there. And its central location makes it really nice for anglers, like for me, upper Midwest. People that are locked up with ice this time of year can go to Lake of the Ozarks and fish earlier than we can around here. But when I put together the binder, I literally print off almost every article that I can find, because I blew through a ton of paper and a couple ink cartridges. But what that allowed me to do is sit down there, I can annotate it, and just like class, just like a lecture, I sit down, I take notes, I highlight important things, because when you're dealing with like 60 pages of articles and information from different sources, you're not going to sit down and read that every night. I've read through everything at least twice, but especially when I want to show, because up here we work together a lot with the Stevens Point Club. We're not always giving each other our exact spots, but we share a lot of information because we're always the underdogs coming. We're never fishing in our backyards. We're always in somebody else's backyard almost every time, especially this time of year. So we help each other, and this kind of gives me an opportunity to help some of my buddies out without giving them a waypoint the day before the tournament, be like, hey, this is where I got all my fish. Because when you divide and conquer, a lot of times you divide what's there and you both lose. But this is a way for me to help them, then they can help me back. And we can all work together, put together what's more of a pattern, which, from what I've read this time of year, is important. Well, it's always important, but from what I've seen, Lake of the Ozarks, it's a textbook wintering hole boulder to gravel to pea gravel transition in the spring that you see in a lot of southern reservoirs without a lot of vegetation. But back to the binder, back to this thing. Of course, I've got every article I could find, and I've read through it all. I've highlighted. There's some articles that I don't bother, but I copy and pasted some stuff off of guides, fish fish reports. I don't need to know what the crappies are doing really specifically. So I just copy and paste the important stuff. But I always write up on top where I got it, and generally a link so I can get back to it in case I want to reference back online. So I've got all my articles, but probably the most important piece of information that anglers overlook when doing map study, and when I say map study, I mean like all this paper stuff that you can do at home without being on the lake. But the most important thing that's overlooked is tournament weights that time of year, before, during, and after. Because spring in Missouri is it's going to be a crapshoot. It could be snowing and sleeting. Like last time I fished one tournament out there, spring 2010, I fished an FLW. It rained, sleeted, snowed, hailed, and was 70 degrees by the end of the day. So conditions that time of year are very different, so you want to make sure you cover from a deep wind, the post-winter bite, the bluff jerkbait thing, all the way up to the pea gravel wiggle wart bite. So you're not stuck in one mindset. You've read a lot of information about textbook, what the fish have been doing, are probably going to do, and where they're going to end up. And that's the neat thing about pre-spawn is you can draw a line. If easier said than done, because you look at a paper map, you're like, oh, wintering hole, bay. But if you sit down and you really read up on stuff, you kind of know, depending on how fast spring progresses, where a lot of the tournaments are won. Which, is a rule of thumb thing. And I'm sure anywhere, a tournament can be won pretty much out of any of the three sections of the lake. But, for someone in college who doesn't have a whole lot of time to pre-fish, you need to have kind of a reference point to start. But when you look at the tournament results, that's what you're shooting for. And, of course, it's a college tournament, so I'm very interested in college results from the past 3 or 4 years, FLW, which can be misleading because there's not a lot of pre-fishing that goes on for college students because of they have a deadline. You can't pre-fish that week before, so you have to drive down a week before with a boat, tow, burn a bunch of money, drive back, and the next weekend you're doing another 10-hour drive south. But when you look at the tournament results, you know what you're shooting for. Of course, college weights are down because of the reasons I just said. But I also print off Everstart, now Rayovac, or whatever you want to call it, and BFL results. And of course, the top 10, I think last year's BFL, not even BFL, Everstart, 9 out of the top 10 were from Missouri. So, of course, you take that with a little bit of grain of salt. A couple local pros second 20 pounds a day. But the weights dropped off significantly. But even with those winning weights, that's what you know is your benchmark for what should win. Will it win? It could. It could be more. It could be less. But that's what you should be shooting for in practice. Even on tournament day. You need to be able to find, let's do 17 to 22 pounds of fish. And if you fall short of that, like I say, okay, I can't find 17 to 22 pounds of fish, but in the process I found 13, 14. You look at the college results, that'll still probably qualify me for the national championship. So that gives you the reference point to kind of work off of that. And of course, there are paper maps. I do look at paper maps, but I find paper maps more or less just give you an outline of the lake and a very, very generic bottom contour. Because, Lake of the Ozark is 55,000 acres. It's a giant impoundment. They can't put that much detail on a paper map. They just can't. So really what I use the paper map for is I write notes on it. Stuff I read online, stuff I've found, I'll write on the paper map. So that way when I'm in the boat, I have that. And we've all been there in practice. We're kind of going, oh, Christ, it's been 6 hours, I haven't even gotten a bite yet. I have not even a clue. And you're kind of like, well, what the heck do I do now? You pull out the paper map, you go, okay, yeah, I remember when I read about this. And it keeps you going a little bit. But one of the things, the cool part about technology now, and of course I'm filming this on my tablet, and I can film it on my phone, but also the Navionics app for tablets and phones is great. The only downside of it is I spend a lot more time in class looking at that than actually paying attention and taking notes, which we'll see at midterms how that turns out, but we'll also see how I do doing the tournament too. But that will give you the 1 foot contour lines. You can zoom way in on a little teeny creek arm, just small, and all of a sudden you're starting to see the difference between long sloping points. You can see where the creek bend hit points. You can see it on paper maps too, but you get to secondary points and backs of creeks, you're not going to be able to see that detail. I'm sorry, hot spots. It's impossible for you to do it, and so they're just not that valuable outside of writing stuff down and looking at the overall lay of the lake. When it comes to the small specific spots, you just can't see it really. But the nav app, you can do a whole lot with that, and that's really, really become a key part of my fishing. Especially since, when I'm on the water too, I can do it right on my phone. I pull up my phone and go to wherever I got to go, and I can look, kind of give me a heads up. But I think what you do with the neat presentation of the binder, of course I spent a lot of time. I should have been reading lecture notes, but you can see it highlighted stuff. And there's a ton of information out there. Being organized with that stuff really gets your mind going to where it needs to be. You're not just showing up at a lake. You're not just going there saying willy-nilly, okay, I'm going to go find fish now. Because if you show up to a new lake, I've been there once before, I fished for 6 hours, that was it, caught one short. So I, by no stretch of the imagination, have any real, I don't know the lake. I've seen it once. Congratulations, it's a 55,000 acre lake, and I don't think we ever left far from the boat launch because it was snowing and hailing and stuff, and it was painful to even run. But when you put together the neat presentation of the binder, it helps you organize and collect yourself, and I think it sticks those little nuances in your head. Like, of course, the boulder to gravel, the pea gravel transition may seem textbook, but it's one of those things, too, where you don't want to have to relearn the textbook on the water. That's something that you can learn before you even get out there, and you know what you're looking for. But one thing that I have to stress is don't lock yourself into one mindset. Don't be reading, almost all the articles for that time of year, look at those like jerk baits, jigs, which I'm sure the term will probably be one on. But I'm not the best jerk bait fisherman in the whole world. I'm a lot more comfortable with jigs. I like finesse jigs, football jigs, flipping jigs. I'm a flipper by trade because up here in Wisconsin there's a lot of shallow water cover available. So why, since I'm probably better at flipping shallow water than a lot of the Missouri guys, why would I overlook that? It may not be the strongest pattern, but there may not be anybody else doing it. So you have 75% of the fish on a jerkbait bite, but you've also got 90% of the anglers on them. I might only have 25, even 10% of the fish up shallow. Why would I overlook it? So map study is crucial. Doing your homework is really important, but you have to take all of it with a grain of salt, just like dock talk. Pre-tournament shoot-off, somebody's like, yeah, man, I cracked them on a Megabass Vision 110. I'm sure we're going to hear that a ton. Or, man, the A-rig was hot. A-rig's where it's at, or football jigs. That may work where they are, and that may be an isolated event, and you don't know where they're fishing. It's not like they're saying, or even if they do tell you, like I'm up in the Gravios arm or whatever it's called, that arm is huge. They could be fishing the back, front, anywhere in between. So putting the binder together, all it really does is gets you in the right mental state to be able to sit down and attack that body of water, as opposed to just showing up. Or showing up with, but on the other hand, showing up with preconceived notions I think is probably even worse. So you have to be smart with it, but no one in fishing ever said I really knew too much. They can say I tried to fish, you overthought it, because sometimes it's just about fishing. But I don't think anybody ever said, man, I really regret reading that article. Man, I really regret taking a closer look at this creek arm. So if you're up here in the upper Midwest, or if it's polar vortex round 4 or 5, whatever we're on now, it's not a bad idea. I bought all this stuff for $20. For $20, and you have something that'll last you. In case I ever go back down the Lake of the Ozarks, I have all the information I already knew here. And I've got, you can take notes in it. I'm probably going to do a couple videos when I'm down there, kind of telling everybody what's going on. So just keep posted for that. I'm going to try and swing a spring break trip. Go down there and pre-fish. I'll probably be down there with crawdads, so that'll be fun. We'll be able to put some videos up, maybe do an article or two, or maybe some vines. Who knows? But stay posted. Make sure you follow our Twitter at Bass Squad Corp. We're on Vine, Bass Squad, YouTube. We're on a bunch of stuff. Tyler just started podcasting. I know we just got a shout out from Dave Mercer. That was pretty cool this morning. But stay posted. There's a bunch of stuff. We have T-shirts coming out soon. And, we're not going to be charging $50 for a T-shirt. We know we're small. But it's fun. If you like Bass Squad, if you want to live the lifestyle, if you want to talk to us, if you want to do anything, you can feel free to email us, basssquadcorp@gmail.com. Otherwise, shoot us a Twitter. shout out, tweet at us, whatever you got to do. Comment on YouTube. We're really interactive. Give us a shout if you have any questions about how I put the binder together, where I found all the articles, or anything like that. Feel free to ask. So until then, stay posted. Bass Squad.